It's 8 o'clock and it's time for the main news. I am Justin Matlatla. Tonight we have Piswe Zomunyika at the Sign Language Desk.
It's always good to have you with us. I'm Vicky Maponga. We'll cross over to our Montreal studios a little later, and Marilyn Gwenya is already on standby. These are the stories that are making the headlines tonight.
Zimbabwe in the process of applying to join the BRICS community.
And I'll look at business news. France targets increased socio-economic cooperation with Zimbabwe.
Later on in sport, this year's Bonacqua Africa Triathlon Cup rolls into life tomorrow. We get into the news in detail. President Emmerson Mnangagwa says the country must leverage new technologies and ensure everyone, including people with disabilities, contribute to the attainment of an upper middle income society by 2030.
He said this while addressing persons with disabilities who gathered at State House in Harare for an engagement with the head of state recently. Our first report tonight.
Information communication technologies continue to rationalize the way we do things. To this end, I challenge the sector to move with speed to set up a credible database for effective programming and projects for persons with disabilities. Capacity for the monitoring and evaluation of the various programs for the sector should equally be enhanced. Let us begin to see more transformational results in this sector. I commend you, my dear comrades, for the successes you are achieving through the empowerment programs being championed by my administration. I urge you, however, to build on the strong foundation set so far and develop your various enterprises into more productive and viable commercial brands. As I always say, Nika inovakwa, inotongwa, inonamatirwa nevene vayo. Ilizwe lakiwa livuswe likulekelwe navanikazi vao. Let us rally our collective skills and willpower to build, to modernize and industrialize our motherland, Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe says it is doing everything within its means to join the BRICS community so as to leverage its economic growth potential on the bloc that has countries like Brazil, Russia, India, and China.
Foreign Affairs and International Trade Minister Professor Emon Murwira, who is in Moscow or Russia for a high-level visit, spoke with ZBC News foreign editor Olin Dori this Friday.
Since inception, the Second Republic has placed much emphasis on not only growing the economy, but replacing Zimbabwe into the global grouping of nations. As we wound up his visit here in Moscow, Foreign Affairs and International Trade Minister Professor Emon Murwira said the country is looking towards engaging with groupings such as BRICS that consists of Brazil, Russia, India, South Africa and China in trying to find ways of growing its economy.
You would know, according to our constitution, in terms of our foreign policy principles and foundations, Section 12, subsection 2, asks us not only to be pan-African, but to join progressive groups that are good for the socio-economic growth of our country and for promoting peace in the world. And normally peace is fostered through economic development.
Turning to the international arena and conversations surrounding the reform of the United Nations Security Council, Professor Murira believes Zimbabwe can learn from the Russian Federation in finding local solutions to local challenges.
What we have done with the Russian Federation, and many other countries for that matter, is to coalesce around the idea of growing capabilities, and this comes through education, innovation, science and technology. As the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, our job is to join our domestic environment in Zimbabwe with the foreign environment in terms of cooperation in education, in technical field, in science, in technology. This is the only way we can boost the production that we are talking about. And with this production, that's when trade can take place.
Last year, Zimbabwe launched ZimSat-2 with the support of the Russian Federation, and Professor Murira believes such engagements could drive Zimbabwe's vision, particularly as it seeks to implement Education 5.0.
A country depends on the brains of its people. There's no abracadabra, there's no surprises. Hakuna masarams. So what we learn from ourselves and from the environment that we are in, and from where we travel, including Russian Federation, is that all what we see is a product of the education system and the brains of the people of that country. Yes, trade then happens based on the production that you do in your own country, and working with others, you can then begin to exchange goods and services. This is very important for us.
Within the National Development Strategy 1, image building and economic diplomacy are key enablers towards Zimbabwe's economic growth. Olina Ndori, ZPC News, Moscow.
The SADC organ on politics, defense and security cooperation has reiterated regional support and called for an end to hostilities in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. The regional bloc convened a virtual extraordinary summit of heads of state and government of the organ, Troika, this Thursday, which deliberated on the escalating security situation in the eastern part of the DRC. In a statement, Tanzanian President Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, who chairs the organ, reiterated SADC's solidarity with the people of the DRC in the spirit of unity and cooperation. According to the SADC Secretariat, the outcomes and recommendations from the extraordinary organ Troika summit will be presented to the extraordinary summit of SADC heads of state and government to be convened soon on a date to be confirmed. The summit was also attended by Malawi, Zambia, DRC and South Africa, which is one of the troop contributing countries to the SADC mission in the DRC.
Now, more than 100 fire tenders have so far been received under the Zimbabwe-Belarus deal to capacitate urban and rural authorities.
The country's firefighting departments have over the past years struggled to attend to fire and road accidents owing to either odd or lack of equipment. This is now a thing of the past as the Second Republic moves to bring more fire tenders from Belarus to equip local authorities and ensure they have capacity to react to fire incidents and other accidents.
We continue proving strong and friendly relations between Belarus and Zimbabwe. So far, 114 fire tenders have been imported from Belarus to Zimbabwe, and they have been distributed to town councils and to rural district councils. And today we making an event for a follow-up on training results. Our technical team, Bison Agro Machinery Service Center, we regularly come to check the condition of the fire tenders, to make regular maintenance.
Speaking after a training session to maintain the fire tenders held at Bison Workshop in Harare this Friday, representatives from all local authorities thanked the Second Republic for the noble intervention.
This is our first machine, fire engine, which we have. And it has come at a time really when we didn't have, one, the resources and the means of really rescuing our our citizens when a fire broke out.
As Chirundu, this is the first one that we have received, and it's going to play a crucial role because, as you understand, we are going down the valley up to Zambezi. We have been experiencing a lot of accidents, trucks coming and going to Lusaka, Zambia, DRC. So it's going to play a crucial role, and we really appreciate what this one is going to. We are straining Kariba municipality because it's the one who was covering us, and the Kariba is only one fire tender, and now Chirundu we have, and Karet Town Council has got one.
Would call for sister local authorities in the district, and in our case, that will be straining Shuruki Town Council. But now, thanks to the Second Republic, we are now able to respond to fire emergencies that happens in the district.
Several towns and cities have over the last months received new fire tenders as relations between Zimbabwe and Belarus continue to grow. Tendai Munengwa, ZBC News, Harare.
The Geopomona Waste-to-Energy project is entering the final construction phase and continues to receive widespread support from key partners, including the largest commercial bank in the country, CBZ Holdings, which toured the project in Harare this Thursday.
The Geopomona Waste Management Company is already making a positive impact in Harare, collecting on average 1,500 tons of solid waste per day from illegal dump sites after taking over the role from the city of Harare last year. Now the sorting plant at the Waste Management Project site in Harare is complete, as the firm awaits the construction of the main waste-to-energy plant, which will generate at least 22 megawatts of electricity once operational. One of the Geopomona Waste Management Company key partners, CBZ Financial Holdings, has pledged further support to the company, and this Thursday, a delegation led by its Group Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Lawrence Nyazema, toured the waste management facility in Harare, praising it as a novel banking project that is transforming waste management in Harare.
This is the first on the continent, and it's something that we can easily export to other parts of the continent and indeed other parts of the global village. So in summary, thoroughly impressed and looking forward to the completion of the whole initiative. There's still more to be done, a big need for modern equipment to come in, and one of the reasons I was impressed is everything is so modern. And I was asking earlier on to say, when the city was dumping here, what was the game plan? And it looks like there was no game plan, and for the first time in our lives, we now have a game plan to say, this is how we are going to manage waste.
Geopomona Chief Executive Officer Dr. Dilesh Ngwaya owes the success of the project to their partners who are providing key support.
We have done well in terms of waste collection. If you check our statistics, when we started in 10 February, our statistics goes up. We are collecting 1,500 tons to 2,000 tons per day, which is a big, significant figure from City of Harare when we took over from them.
The Geopomona Waste-to-Energy project was launched in 2022 following the handover of the dump site to Geopomona, which has transformed the area into a state-of-the-art facility as it enters its final stage of constructing the waste-to-energy plant. Owen Mandova, ZBC News, Harare.
Value addition of tobacco has once again come under scrutiny following the opening of auction floors on Wednesday and contract floors this Thursday.
For years, Zimbabwe's tobacco industry has been under the spotlight owing to lack of an efficient beneficiation value chain. Global statistics show that the world's tobacco industry is valued at $1 trillion, and Zimbabwe earns around $1 billion annually, despite having the potential to earn up to $60 billion if it value adds all the golden leaf produced locally. Officially opening the 2025 tobacco marketing season in Harare on Wednesday, the Minister of Lands, Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Rural Development, Dr. Enkes Masuka, alluded to the need to revisit the country's value addition matrix.
Preliminary information availed to me yesterday indicates that value addition and beneficiation has increased from 2 to 7% during the planned period. If we now have a market and have been able to grow the market to 297 million for semi-processed tobacco. Let's not disturb that, but let's try and get additional growth that goes into cigarette manufacture so that this nation can begin to get more of its effort.
Last year, 2 tobacco processing plants were established in Harare and are already overwhelmed by demand for Zimbabwe's cigarettes on the African continent.
We've had a number of regional countries, Congo, Ethiopia, Kenya, Mozambique, coming to ask us for a product. In some instances, we've actually closed some transactions, and we believe that that narrative will grow. The contextual point ultimately is we're providing a quality product. At Swan, we pride ourselves on quality at an affordable price. And that notion is beginning to spread across, let's just call it the southern part of the continent. But we're not stopping there. We're looking to go further north.
According to the Tobacco Industry and Marketing Board, TIMB, value addition is key in efforts to attain the $5 billion industry by end of this year. Owen Mandova, ZBC News, Harare.
The transformation of tertiary institutions into viable enterprises is being validated through the expansion of livestock production at Lupane State University as the Second Republic lays a foundation for robust centers of excellence.
Modeled around 4 innovation hubs, Lupane State University has transformed dryland farming through livestock production, developing from a center of academic excellence into a viable economic enterprise. In just 2 years, the university has grown from a single goat breed to a diverse range of livestock, including poultry and pigs, with artificial insemination now fully operational. A tour of the institution by the Minister of Higher and Tertiary Education, Innovation, Science and Technology Development, Ambassador Frederick Shava, exposed this crew to the institution's thriving enterprises.
We started with 21 animals. Then we are also funded now by the center. We went to 250 there. Then now we are at 458. And we are expecting kids of about 300 by the next month, which is April. Another 300 can come up in November, which will make 600 plus what we have, maybe reach around 900.
We have now progressed to a stage where we are now providing breeding stock to our farmers around us. For the goats, we are breeding between the Matebele, the Kalahari, the Boer goat, and the offspring we are giving as breeding stock to farmers. For the chickens, we are doing artificial insemination.
Ambassador Shava stressed that through government support, institutions of higher learning should go beyond academic prowess to achieve economic viability.
I think what is more important is that all these activities produce some income for the university and also provide some source of food for the students who are here. And very roughly speaking, I was told that on an annual basis, the projects that we've just visited there can produce something like $84,000 per annum, which is a very good addition to what effort government is putting into sustaining this university. So we look forward to the growth of those projects beyond their present sizes and to the utilization of the outcomes of those projects by the local society, by our people around here.
Government, through the heritage-based Education 5.0 model, seeks to propel industrialization through production-oriented learning stemming from local resources, incubated through innovation centers and agro-industrial parks. Wellington Makonese, ZBC News, Lupane.
The Marondera Aerodrome, a partnership between a local aviation firm and Marondera Rural District Council, is set to boost agricultural exports in the Mashonaland East provincial capital, where blueberry production has become one of the high-income earners.
Private partnership between Marondera Rural District Council and Task Air Private Limited, and a response to the call to action blueprint has come as a boost to blueberry production, whose main market is outside the country. This development has been welcomed by Mashonaland East Minister of State for Provincial Affairs and Devolution, Advocate Itainduzo, who told the Marondera Aerodrome, which also comprises an aviation school, aircraft maintenance facility, and the blueberry farm.
This facility came into existence because of the agricultural business that happens around Marondera. And as you have seen from where we have just told, where blueberries are being produced for the export market, we pray that there will be an expansion of export crop produce to a point and an extent where straight from the field in Marondera, produce will come here and will fly to international destinations.
The aerodrome venture has come at the right time as blueberry production is on an expansion drive at Green Pastures Farm in Marondera.
We have got prospects of expanding. This March I will be expanding, adding to the 45 hectares, I will be adding another 6 hectares. But by end of next year, we should be looking at around 120 hectares.
We want to thank the head of state and government, the Second Republic particularly, for enhancing this policy, where people are able to do this farming at this greater extent and ensuring that people are making money.
Mashonaland East Province currently has 13 farmers who are into blueberry production, utilizing more than 300 hectares. Gerald, SABC News, Marondera.
The Zimbabwe National Army says it vows to play its role of maintaining peace in the country for the attainment of an upper middle income society status by 2030. Our Midlands Bureau Chief Tafara Chikumira was in battlefields and he filed the following report.
The call for the military personnel to maintain peace and order was the rallying point as the 5th Infantry Brigade at battlefields near Kwekwe witnessed the change of command this Friday. Brigadier General Lawrence Mzararikwa takes over the reins at the brigade following the reassignment of Brigadier General Mpuleng Siziba, who assumes the position of Director General, Joint Operations and Plans at the Zimbabwe Defense Forces headquarters in Harare.
Relatedly, the formation deployed to Gokwe and has done well, where we are curbing illegal smuggling of goods from outside the country. Together with my colleagues in my provincial job, we managed to address various internal security challenges as required.
The incoming commander, Brigadier General Lawrence Mzararikwa, says he is equal to the task at hand.
Assuming command of this trailblazing formation gives me the chance to become a link in the chain that binds and ensures efficient administration of the Midlands Province.
The Zimbabwe National Army Commander, Lieutenant General Anslo Msanyatwe, was the chief witness, urged the military personnel to uphold the Constitution.
The people of Zimbabwe have high hopes and expectations for a better life. Accordingly, as the Zimbabwe National Army, we should discharge our constitutional mandate to ensure conducive and tranquil environment prevails for the attainment of our national programs. We should all therefore understand the vision enunciated by the President and the Commander-in-Chief of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, Comrade Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, in its entirety in order to contribute meaningfully to the attainment of an upper middle income economy status for our motherland, Zimbabwe.
The Zimbabwe National Army is mandated to safeguard the country's territorial integrity from the country's detractors. Tafara Chikumira, ZBC News, Battlefields.
The Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission has commended government for honoring its reporting obligations under various treaties, including the United Nations International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights.
Briefing the media in Harare today, Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission Chairperson, Commissioner Jessima Jome, said they welcome the presentation of Zimbabwe's State Party report to the UN Human Rights Committee this week.
The Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission welcomes the presentation of Zimbabwe's State Party report to the Human Rights Committee on the United Nations International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, usually called the ICCPR, on the 6th and the 7th of March 2025. The Commission acknowledges the commitment by the government of Zimbabwe in honoring its reporting obligations under the various treaty bodies, including the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, on the submission of periodic reports. The Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission also welcomes the passing of the Prisons and Correctional Service Act, Chapter 7.21, as it aligns to the Constitution of Zimbabwe and other regional and international human rights instruments on the humane treatment of prisoners. Whilst applauding progress made that has been outlined above, the Commission continues to urge the government to ratify key outstanding treaties, which include the United Nations Convention Against Torture and Other Cruel, Inhuman and Degrading Treatment or Punishment, the UNCAT. We remain sadly one of the few countries, maybe if not the last one, in the SADC region that have not yet ratified this protocol. Although, of course, our constitutions guarantees this right and entrenches the right to protection from torture, all that is left is just the inking of the signature on the international treaty to show our commitment at the international level, because it is already in our constitution.
A manhunt has been launched for 2 inmates who escaped from Mutimurefu prison in Masvingo this Wednesday.
And Commissioner Mayor Kanyezi confirmed to ZBC News that escapees are Feliciano Smango, who was sentenced to 3 years in prison in June last year after being found guilty of theft, and Neva Matoma, who was serving a 4-year sentence for unlawful entry and theft. She said the duo escaped during a supervised work assignment outside the prison facility on Wednesday. The inmates reportedly took advantage of the situation to unlawfully gain access to a ZPCS vehicle, which they used to flee. However, they were involved in an accident about 2.5 kilometers from the work site, leading them to abandon the vehicle and flee on foot. Meanwhile, the Zimbabwe Republic Police has confirmed that investigations are underway regarding the death of a police officer, Detective Constable Cassandra Hove, who was a member of the Criminal Investigations Department homicide in Bulawayo.
The Zimbabwe Republic Police reports the tragic death of Detective Constable Cassandra who died last night during a shootout as police officers were pursuing armed robbery suspects. We are conducting investigations with a view of finding out what actually transpired. Meanwhile, the Commissioner General of Police, Commissioner General Stephen Mutamba, has expressed his condolences to the whole family.
The ZRP has also reaffirmed its commitment to combating armed robberies and violent crimes, emphasizing that there will be no let-up in their efforts to keep the public safe. Peter Chivima, ZBC News, Harare.
We are about to take a breather, but before we do so, remember you can be kept updated on what's happening locally, regionally, and internationally on our website, and that's at www.zbcnews.co.zw. Across all social media platforms, you may find us at ZBC News Online.
And here are stories still to come in this bulletin. In business news, France targets increased socio-economic cooperation with Zimbabwe. In sport, this year's Bonacqua Africa Triathlon Cup rolls into life tomorrow. We'll be back with these and other stories. Stay with us.
of genius. Introduce the stroke of genius. Oh, Zimbabwe yakuzosimuka manje. Stroke of genius and rukureva chera. President ED Mnangagwa vari kupa bankable, registrable and transferable title deeds na every farmer akapuwa munda pa land reform program. Takanga takapuwa minda asi takanga tisina simba rekupinda mumabhengi semama business kuti tipewo maloni akachipa tatakuwara nezvimbazo man. Zvino ne-stroke of genius yekupuwa matitle deeds tikupinduka mubhengi sevamwe totopuwa maloni takutodevelopa mafama.
Saka kuduza kuti land ese yatoneva
ende ukapuwa title deed iroro chera mundu wako uchatoreki yatova nhaka yevazukuru nevazukuru ndo zvinoda fama manje izvozvo security of tenure.
Iwe pandiri panapa ndakutokwanisa kutopa vana nhaka kuti chidimu chako ichi chemunda chidimu chako ichi
exactly
zvichifambiswa sei.
President ED Mnangagwa igenius manje vakabva vati kuti zvinyatsofamba negwara rakatwasanuka zviri transparent ndobva vagadza inonzi Land Tenure Implementation Committee iri kushanda nemumapazi ehurumende.
But iwo unozviziva iwo kuti kune maland barons akazara ukanopamba minda dzevanhu.
Dai vatoregera zvavo ndiwo kopo husiri kudiwa naPresident Mnangagwa iroro. Ndio saka Land Tenure Implementation Committee yakati ngatishandisei ma-ID numbers, number dzepachitupa kuti munhu haakwanisi kuva nemafamu maviri. Plus Land Tenure iyi committee haisi kupa minda pachayo. Iri kutwasanudza pakupiwa kwema-title deeds.
Alright. Iwe saka zvichireva kuti tato-protected kasei mavarimi.
Exactly manje.
Kumaziva
kuti une stroke of genius here. President ED apa vasikira vana veZimbabwe upfumi.
Thank you for staying with us. The International Women's Day commemorations held in Marange, Manicaland Province this Friday were an opportunity to reflect on the strides achieved in gender equality and women empowerment.
Thousands of people thronged Mnyarari Primary in Mtare Rural, where women expressed their appreciation for the support from government and development partners towards their empowerment.
Tukunzwa kufara nezvetiri kuitirwa naPresident Mnangagwa hatichangotarisiri kuti vana baba ndo vanotsvaga mari vega asi nesu kuta kutobatsirana nevarume vedu. Ndiri kutenda zvikuru zvetiri kuisirwa neministry yedu kunyanya president wedu kupa maprojects kune people with disability. Izvo zviti kutotaura kuti takapiwa mari dzekuita maprojects. Hurumende yedu yababa Mnangagwa iri kuti empower zvakawanda, iri kuti simudzira semadzimai. Zvimwe zvazvo vari kuita zvekutigadzirira migodhi inenge ine magadhini semadzimai, inenge ine masola kuti tione kushanda, kuti tione kuraramisa mhuri.
Development partners reflected on the strides made in the promotion of gender equality and women empowerment in Zimbabwe.
Government policies have increased women's participation in leadership and public life, with women occupying prominent roles in government and the private sector. The Zimbabwe Women's Microfinance Bank is playing a significant role in empowering women economically and providing necessary support to women entrepreneurs.
Through the Team Europe initiative on gender equality, we are supporting this cause with over 280 million euros from 2021 to 2027.
Government says while empowerment initiatives are bearing fruit, priority should also be fighting such vices as discrimination, child sexual exploitation, and gender-based violence.
Our great president, Dr. Emmerson Mnangagwa, has come up and introduced through his relevant ministries several projects for our women here in Manicaland. We have the Joppa Safe Market just nearby, Hauna processing plant down there, Sinara Dairy in Mutasa, Chikanga Mushroom Project in the city of Mutare, among other several projects. Just like other provinces across Zimbabwe, Manicaland province has immensely benefited from various projects, programs that have been driven and initiated by none other than Her Excellency, the First Lady of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Dr. A. Mnangagwa.
In Zimbabwe, we have made significant strides in promoting women's rights and empowerment. Our constitution guarantees equal rights for women and men, and we have implemented various policies and programs aimed at promoting gender equality and women empowerment. As we move forward, it is essential that we prioritize the rights, equality, and empowerment of our women and our girls. This requires a comprehensive and inclusive approach that addresses the intersectionalities of gender, of race, class, disability, and other forms of marginalization.
The well-attended commemorations saw a number of women being given tricycles, an assortment of food items, sanitary pads, and agricultural implements, among other things. Kenya's Chifuje, ZBC News, Mutari.
Well, on that musical note, we take you to our Montreux studios, and Marilyn is on standby. Marilyn, over to you.
Good evening, and many thanks to you, Vicky. And now in our following report, in line with government's drive to improve service delivery, the Bulawayo City Council has begun a stakeholder engagement to gather input on the proposed water and sanitation utility.
The decision to establish the water and sanitation utility comes as Bulawayo continues to grapple with aging infrastructure and the impact of climate change-induced droughts. Stakeholders attending the feedback meeting this Thursday expressed a range of views, highlighting both their hope for improved services and their anxieties about potential challenges.
Kuyakhanya ukuthi ngendlela abayiletha ngayo kukhona abafuna ukubenefita okuzasiaffecta thina njengama residents.
Nxa singazuza ukuthi kuqhubeke kube into ezanceda ingasinceda ngoba ama pipe amaningi asemadala asedabuka.
I wish abantu bakobulawayo would accept this with a very strong condition at the bottom to say after so many years we want to evaluate and come up with a decision again.
This is coming from the top to bottom. It is coming from the management. We don't think it will save the residents of Bulawayo.
And there is also need for us to be innovative in how we solve the problems that we have with water. And currently the innovative solution that has come is the formation of the water utility.
I see this as a positive step towards improving the operations of the water and sanitation sector. I think my concern generally was that people were confusing the creation of a utility with privatization. But the city of Bulawayo is not privatizing.
The council hopes that the new entity, a partnership with Vitens Avids International, will streamline operations, attract investment, and enhance accountability in water resource management.
What we are looking forward to after the setting up of the water utility is the creditworthiness of the city, where we are saying that as a city, we will look financially attractive even to external partners in terms of attracting funding, which we so need in terms of rehabilitation and renewal of our infrastructure.
The government is pushing for improved service delivery for all citizens in line with Vision 2030, which aims to transform Zimbabwe into an upper middle-income economy. Ilandamo, ZBC News, Bulawayo.
The Zimbabwe International Trade Fair Company will host a livestock conference this month in Bulawayo, aiming to address the critical issues facing the sector following an El Nino-induced drought last year.
The inaugural Livestock Conference will be held from the 20th to the 21st of March, following a period of severe drought that devastated livestock in Zimbabwe, particularly last year. The conference aims to provide a platform for stakeholders to address the challenges posed by the drought and to explore strategies for fostering sustainable livestock development.
We're doing it in collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture and Lands, and we seek to specifically look at areas maybe to do with disease control, drought mitigation strategies, feeding initiatives around agriculture, technology that's coming through as a response perhaps to the current issues around sustainability and of course related effects that arise as a result. So we are working with various players. We are working with academia, we are working with research centers, we are working with veterinaries, we are working with livestock producers themselves and business persons. So the entire value chain is going to be covered in this particular conference.
The conference will explore opportunities for value addition, market access, and investment in the livestock sector.
For us to take livestock as a business, we need knowledge. And so this particular platform will allow that knowledge sharing amongst those that are knowledgeable, those that are experienced, and those that are emerging. And in particular, we've seen issues to do with perhaps lack of knowledge that have led to people losing livestock. We're talking livestock as a business. We're saying not only for the producer, but eventually for one who will eventually sell what one would call the output of that livestock, leather being one of such.
The government has set its sight on developing a $1.9 billion United States livestock economy by end of this year. Ilandmoy, ZBC News, Bulawayo.
Gwanda Rural District Council has procured service equipment as government continues to transform communities and provide modern public services.
Gwanda Rural District Council is working flat out to deliver quality service to the people in line with the Second Republic's mantra of leaving no one and no place behind. This is evidenced by not only the procurement of service equipment, but also the availing of 27 motorcycles for its councillors who used to walk for more than 20 kilometers to deliver on their mandate.
Motorbikes azancedisa i-transport yama-councillors ethu kuma-ward abachiyechiyeneyo. Sinanzelela ukubana amanye ama-ward imango yakhona amide kakhulu, amanye a-stretcha sibili up to over 20 kilometers. So kuzaphathisa even le visibility ye-council, kungabi le ndawo esalela emuva. Labo ama-councillors kuzabathokozisa ukubana sebesenelisa ukuthi bafike kuwo wonke amacele or ama-corners away ward.
This kind of gesture serves to ensure that councillors can effectively access all areas, hence simultaneously fostering greater engagement and coordination in the province development activities.
Government is on a drive to build modern communities.
This effort by council resonates well with the precepts of the call to action, no compromise to service delivery blueprint, which was launched by the President in 2023 and demands for improved service delivery by local authority.
Gwanda RDC used just above 173,000 United States dollars to procure 27 motorcycles for councillors, a tipper truck, and a backhoe loader for service delivery. Providence Maranelli, ZBC News, Gwanda.
And that's it for myself, Marilyn Gonya, and the Montrose crew for tonight. Vicky is on standby with more news. Vicky, it's back to you.
Thanks a lot, Marilyn. You have yourself a fantastic weekend. The Children of Zimbabwe Liberation War Veterans Association has rallied Zimbabweans to continue supporting the Vision 2030 National Developmental Trajectory as enunciated by President Emmerson Mnangagwa.
The leadership of the Children of Zimbabwe Liberation War Veterans Association, chaired by Comrade Phineas Makombe, converged at the ZANU-PF headquarters this Thursday, where they implored the nation to be wary of attempts by the country's detractors to derail the quest to attain an upper middle income society by 2030.
Encourage silent millionaires to step forward and join the rebuilding process, just as wealthy patriots in our countries support national development. Zimbabwe's wealth can play a crucial role in assisting the country's economic recovery by engaging in community and initiating contributive, meaningful initiatives to the development of Zimbabwe. Resolution number 1 presented to the ZANU-PF People's Conference cannot be criticized, as it is an essential part of the country's vision. As an affiliate of ZANU-PF, the Children of War Veterans Association stand firmly behind the party's position and will continue to defend.
The association also declared its readiness to defend the president and the ruling party from elements who undermine democratically elected leadership.
The Children of War Veterans were unapologetic in defending the president and his family, for they are also children of war. We stand firm in saying, you touch them, you touch all of us. Is it a crime for a child of a war veteran to open business and make money? Who said children of war veterans must live in poverty? Who will not stand idle while our integrity and that of our leader is being attacked? We as the children of war veterans firmly believe it is time for us to come together as a nation and return to the basics of rebuilding Zimbabwe.
Meanwhile, the association is set to launch a week of action across the country to mobilize all progressive Zimbabweans to unite in building a prosperous nation. Tendai Munengwa, ZBC News, Harare.
The stage is set for Chegutu and Norton Local Authority by-elections this Saturday, and the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission is encouraging registered voters to exercise their constitutional right by voting.
A meeting to introduce aspiring candidates in Harare this Friday saw the ZANU-PF Harare provincial leadership concurring on the party's determination to wrestle the constituents from the opposition.
Musi wa 12 April tiri kundotora siti rino nguva yakwana yekuti Glenview South, muri yeGlenview South yatambura kuva nevamiriri vemapato anopikisa asi vasina zvavanondoita kuparliament kana kukanzura havana zvavanoita. Munoona kutambura kuri kuita muri yemuGlenview South, migwagwa zvose zviri muno hazvisi kufamba zvakanaka pamusaka pekuti vatungamiriri ndeve kuopposition.
Ndinoshuwira kuti vanhu vakuvhota zvakanaka murunyararo tisarudze the best.
ZANU-PF Politburo member Comrade Paul Mangwana called for unity of purpose among party members.
Chitiko chiri kuitika nomusi weSunday inzira yakaiswa nomusangano yekuti tibude necandidate inotimiririra. Haasi makwikwi eelection satajaira ndezvomba medu sati tichida kuti tizviite murunyararo takabatana tisapesanisa vanhu.
ZANU-PF will hold primary elections to choose the party candidate for the by-elections this weekend, with the Comrade Tsitsi Taomera, Brian Mchakati, Jabulani Mbetu and Tawanda Utete set to battle it out for the sole ticket. The Glenview South National Assembly seat fell vacant after the death of Honorable Gladmore Hakata of the Citizens Coalition for Change in January this year. Meanwhile, the stage is set for the Chegutu and Norton Local Authority by-elections to be held this Saturday, with the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission encouraging registered voters to exercise their constitutional right to vote.
2,850 ballot papers were printed for Ward 3 of Chegutu Rural District Council, while 2,550 ballot papers were printed for Ward 3 of Norton Council, Town Council by-elections. In terms of the electoral requirements, we print what is called a contingency. All materials, inclusive of human resources, which are critical, are in place. Ward election officers, deputy ward election officers, presiding officers, and polling officers for all electoral centers that I have referred to have been recruited and trained.
The Norton Town Council Ward 3 seat will pit Tsomondo Wilson Charamba of ZANU-PF and 2 independent candidates Paradzai Preston Tanatswa and Munyeveri Water, while independent candidates Banda Tawanda and Murombe Stabile will up against Makofi Mawinei of ZANU-PF in the Chegutu Rural District Council by-election. The 2 local authority seats fell vacant after the death of the incumbent councillors in December last year and January this year. Peter Chivima, ZBC News, Harare.
Government says it remains committed to implementing inclusive policies to close the gender gap and guarantee greater female participation in the technology sector.
In an interview on the sidelines of a Women in ICT conference held in Harare this Friday, the Minister of Information, Communication Technology, Postal and Courier Services, Honorable Tatinda Mavetera, highlighted that promoting girls and women participation in ICT remains one of government's top priorities.
As a government, we've come up with the Presidential Internet Scheme, which has to cater for everyone, be it the rural and the urban areas. We need to bridge the digital divide by making sure we avail connectivity to all areas. As we are concluding on our broadband mapping exercise, which we're doing together with ITU, we realize that there is need for us to explore all these initiatives so that we invest greatly in the areas where there is a gap. The President also launched the Digital Skills Program, which also looks at people getting empowered, women getting empowered in digital skills, looking at Android, data science, looking at artificial intelligence. Women need to be empowered in these skills.
Women in ICT sector are grateful for opportunities being created by the Second Republic in the digital space.
I'm happy that the government is already working on initiatives of connectivity in terms of making sure the community information centers, I think they're going to be called digital centers in future, to make sure that they have connectivity and everything in place so that the women in communities can be able to get to those centers, have access to information, and also engage with technology.
We have talent. We have proven and demonstrated talent here in Zimbabwe, which we believe we can, if we can take it up and try as we go. We shouldn't believe in failures, but we should believe in improving from what we are doing.
We are trying to get women to be more independent and women to get into the field.
The annual Women in ICT conference aims to foster leadership roles for women and driving innovation. Fungai Jachi, ZBC News, Harare.
We'll give you business news after this break. Stay with us.
Step up with DSTV and we'll show up by giving you more incredible entertainment.
Going to have a little fun.
Upgrade your subscription between the 13th of January and the 31st of March and get an even higher package for a whole month on us.
To the back of the net!
There's nothing better than putting a little bit in but getting a lot out.
This is the time to take risks.
Incredible!
I've heard good things about you. Don't let me down.
Step up and we'll show up on your home of entertainment, DSTV.
On the 8th of March 2025, Zimbabwe will join the rest of the world to commemorate this year's International Women's Day. As a nation, we take this opportunity to celebrate the achievements we have accomplished to date and continue to push for more inclusive economic, political, and social empowerment of women and girls in line with the country's Vision 2030. This is a UN calendar event which is commemorated annually on the 8th of March through the Ministry of Women Affairs, Community, Small and Medium Enterprises Development. And our IWD national launch will be held under the international theme for all women and girls, rights, equality, empowerment. Today, 7 March 2025, the ministry successfully launched the National International Women's Day at Munyarari Primary School in Mutare District, Manicaland Province. Empower a woman, empower a nation.
Welcome back. France is keen to improve business and trade ties with Zimbabwe, driven by a 20% growth in trade to over 70 million United States dollars last year.
The official opening of the Francophone Week Thursday night created a platform to review Zimbabwe's relations with France in terms of business, trade, and socio-economic development. France is thus targeting increased cooperation with Zimbabwe, riding on strides achieved in improving business relations.
We have a lot to do to improve the trade between Zimbabwe and France. Even though there are already a good flux, around 70 million of dollars last year, it's represent an increase of something like plus 20% from the year before. But it's not enough. I talked about that with His Excellency President Mnangagwa when I met with him 2 times since I arrived to Zimbabwe, and we agreed that we really should make a strong effort to improve the volume of not only the trade of goods but also of services and investments between both our countries.
Several French investors are therefore lining up to explore available opportunities in Zimbabwe this year.
I think there is a lot of domains in which France could invest in Zimbabwe because we have skills that could be of interest to you. For example, in the energy sector, for example, in the service sector as well. Therefore I brought these companies, and really when they came, they discovered a country that they did not know well, and they discovered that there are very skillful professional people here in Zimbabwe, and also a lot of resources.
The Francophone Week official opening ceremony, which was also attended by diplomats, government officials, and the private sector, among others, provides an opportunity for France to showcase several aspects in terms of social, culture, arts, industry, and commerce. Stanley James, ZBC News, Harare.
From business, we take a look into the arts, where government is stepping up efforts to grow the local film sector through implementation of a television and film strategy, which saw the unveiling of a short film grant to empower filmmakers.
Aimed at nurturing growth in the film and television sector, the short film grant paves the way for a brighter future for local filmmakers. National Arts Council of Zimbabwe Communications and Marketing Manager Mr. Aganyabinde said the grant is part of efforts to enforce the pillars of the Zimbabwe Film Strategy launched last year.
The National Arts Council of Zimbabwe has released a call for grant funding on short films. And people who are supposed to benefit from this grant funding are Zimbabwean filmmakers, and especially those that have got permanent residence, as long as they meet the requirements stated for the grant. The requirements include a proven track record or capacity to produce a short film, and reference from established media institutions that can assure that this person or this institution has the capacity to produce short films. This is meant to improve our film sector by empowering aspiring and upcoming filmmakers to be given the opportunity to do something. As from our survey during the film strategy consultations, we discovered that Zimbabwe has a lot of potential with filmmakers who lack resources and funding.
Still in entertainment, this weekend the music lovers will be spoiled for choice with a number of live performances around the capital. Revered outfit Mokumba will stage their first local performance of the year at the Reps Theatre this Saturday. The pub choir event in Harare will be another attraction in the capital, taking R&B lovers down memory lane. Local jazz enthusiasts are in for a treat this Saturday with a concert set to celebrate the late Bob Nyabinde at Sherwood Golf Club in Harare. Nyabinde's sons and Victor Kunonga are among the artists built to perform. Patience Nyagato, SABC News, Harare.
That's the arts. We'll take a look at what's happening and what's lined up for sports enthusiasts after this break with Lawrence Trusida.
Step up with DSTV and we'll show up by giving you more incredible entertainment.
Going to have a little fun.
Upgrade your subscription between the 13th of January and the 31st of March and get an even higher package for a whole month on us.
To the back of the net!
There's nothing better than putting a little bit in but getting a lot out.
This is the time to take risks.
Incredible!
I've heard good things about you. Don't let me down.
Step up and we'll show up on your home of entertainment, DSTV.
Good evening and thank you so much for joining us on Sports News this evening. My name is Lawrence Trusida. We start off with a sport that infuses swimming, cycling and running. That is a triathlon where triathletes gear up for the 2025 Bonacqua Africa Triathlon Cup set for Trollbæk Resort in Nyanga this Saturday.
With the 2025 edition of the Bonacqua Africa Triathlon Cup set to roll into life this Saturday, athletes are relinquishing the prospect of showcasing their prowess at one of the top triathlon events in the world. Missing the evergreen and the Kuipers due to an Achilles injury, Zimbabwe has shifted focus towards development as the country will not be represented in the elite category but will enjoy a sizable representation in the Africa Junior Cup featuring participants from South Africa and Namibia. Nicole Majga returns to the Trollbæk course after missing last year's edition to bring the number of Zimbabweans in the Africa Junior Cup to 4 alongside boys Stanley Chasakara, Callum Smith and Madlenko Simtetwa.
2 years has been a lot, but I did come up here over half term for a training camp, so I feel like I have a good feel of what to expect tomorrow. I've been putting a lot of work into my training and I'm just trusting in that and hopefully it'll work out tomorrow.
International participants are also optimistic of conquering the terrain.
We're looking to bring the title home again tomorrow. Confidence is key when you come into these races. So I'd like to win, bring it home again 2 years in a row. There's quite some strong guys here this year.
The last month was key actually, so I'm going in with a clear head and just to be focused, and I need to be confident because I'm racing against the best.
It's good to have in a race. You can help out each other, you know each other. Good that we have a strong group in a 15-man strong field.
Having my eyes set on one very big goal, in 2028, Los Angeles is hosting the Olympics. It's the city I was born in, so 2025 is the start of me working towards that. I need to score points.
Triathletes from countries like Sweden, the United States, Finland and the Netherlands, to mention only a few, will all be eyeing honors at the Bonacqua Africa Triathlon Cup, which gets underway this Saturday. Reinout Ngwarati, ZBC News, Nyanga.
From Nyanga, we return to Harare, where Scotland coach Tondre Ndira is unfazed about the weight of expectations surrounding his team as they prepare for the Kasolaga Premier Soccer League Matchday 2 encounter against Cape United on Sunday.
Ndiraya, whose team secured a hard-fought 1-0 win over Triangle in their opening game, believes the excitement surrounding the match is misplaced. Ndiraya acknowledges Scotland's investment in the team, which has seen the arrival of high-profile players like Kama Belliot, Autumn Sona and Lyneth Chikoa has raised expectations.
This is the beginning of the league. I think this is Matchday 2. And if you ask me, football hasn't really started. So I don't know where the excitement, where the noise is coming from. To us, it's just a normal fixture. In fact, we are playing against a big team with a lot of history. Scotland played its first match on last weekend, meaning that they are the youngest in the league. If you want to compare all the teams that is in the league, I think the issue here is about the investment that Scotland FC or the owner of the team has put into the team. Yes, good investment was made, but does that make Scotland a big team? It's a question for another day, but Scotland is a very small team in the league, a team that brought quite a number of stars to start their campaign on a very strong footing.
Despite the challenge posed by Caps United ahead of the encounter this Sunday, De Raya remains focused on taking each game as it comes.
We are looking forward to the next game against Caps United, yes. Caps United is a big team with huge history. But we are taking it step by step. This is our second match in the league, and we are so excited to play that match.
With the Kamabeliat expected to make his return from injury, Scotland will look to build on their winning start to the season. Meanwhile, action kicks off on Saturday as a Tel 1 clash with Triangle at Ascot Stadium. Gaza Platinum Stars host Greenfield at Baobab Stadium. Bigita Minerals welcome New Boys Moves at Sagova Stadium. FC Platinum lock horns with Manika Diamonds at Mandava Stadium, while ZPC Kariba take on champion Simbabora at Nyamuga Stadium, and Hirentals face Dynamos at Trofaro Stadium. Action concludes on Sunday as Highlanders clash with Kwekwe United at Baba Fields. Anna Shemurombedzi, ZBC News, Harare.
Staying with the Premier Soccer League, Yada held former champions Chicken Inn to a new draw in a Kasolaga Premier Soccer League match played at the Art Stadium this afternoon.
Reeling under the FIFA ban, Yada only had one substitute on the bench for their match against Chicken Inn this Friday. The Miracle Boys are banned from signing players until they pay the amount they owe 3 Brazilians who were on their books last year. With some out-of-contract players having moved on, Yada only has 13 players registered for this season, and to make matters worse, Anotidaishe Gwatidzo was shown a red card on match day 1, making him ineligible for this week's assignment. Be that as it may, Yada fought tooth and nail and held Fancy Chicken Inn, and with a hit of luck, they could have snatched the victory.
Obviously, we would want it to be rectified by maybe like last week, we should have actually had the numbers that are required, but this is an administration issue, so we only hope it will be sorted like yesterday.
With the season in its infancy, Chicken Inn took the draw.
We are still trying to get a side together. Well, we have the players, but trying to get the winning combination together. We haven't played 2 games, we've drawn 2. A bit of a slow start, but it's okay. I prefer that than losing a game.
The result leaves Yada with a single point from 2 matches, while Chicken Inn are a point better from the same number of matches.
That's it for Friday's edition of Sports News. It's back to the main desk.
Thanks, Larry. And it's a wrap as well from the main news team for tonight. Have yourselves a fantastic weekend.
Good night.